So there has been a lot happening with Bleach Rebirth of Souls, both with the community and the game, and to be honest with you, I was not expecting any of this. So I've got a lot of things to cover in this video, a lot of things I want to say. But what I want to start off by saying is that I am extremely excited for this game, and it's been extremely turbulent. When this game was first announced, when they first showed it off, I remember looking at it thinking to myself, oh my god, is this another CyberConnect arena fight? I'm not interested. I'll probably play it because it's a Bleach game. It's going to be a fine game. I'll try it out. Probably not going to stick with it though. And I remember seeing it and then seeing the trailers come out for it, and I thought to myself, these trailers are absolutely atrocious. They give almost nothing whatsoever, and now that we've seen more of the game, the trailers really gave us nothing. Now, it's a double-edged sword because I'm an old school player and I like discovering things in the game, but I think when you're selling a new fighting game to people, you kind of need to give them more, and I really don't think Bandai Namco marketed this game in the best way possible. So the trailers were coming out and I wasn't paying attention to them. I kind of switched off. I kind of put in my mind that I'm not playing this game, I'm not interested, I'm going to stick with Tekken and wait for Virtua Fighter. And then more and more characters kept on dropping. I was like, oh, okay, do you know what, Byakuya's my favourite Bleach character, let me check him out. And the trailers kept coming in and they kept coming in. And then I went to Makai Sain's channel, shout out to Makai Sain, I'm seeing gameplay on there. So I'm like, okay, cool, let me check the gameplay out. Let me see what the gameplay's saying. And oh my days, well, my expectations completely shattered. Now, before we get to the gameplay portion of this video, there is something that I want to address regarding the Bleach community and the discourse online. Now, I really want to talk about the gameplay because there's a lot to talk about here, but I feel like I need to address this first and get it out of the way before we go into the gameplay section. When I started to take more of an interest in this game, I went online and I expressed my interest, and I was immediately met with negativity. Now, I'd never seen this before. I'd never seen this amount of negativity met with somebody just saying they wanted to play a game. And I saw this and I took this and I started speaking about it as if it represented the whole of the Bleach community. And I wanted to say to everyone watching this that is part of the Bleach community, that was wrong from me, and I apologize for painting that picture of the Bleach community. That was wrong of me, and as a man you should be able to admit your mistakes. And a lot of people at the time were saying to me, there's no point in saying sorry Mike, it's an anime, what's everyone getting upset about? But I started to think about it and I was like, it's a little bit hypocritical coming from me. Now, I don't get upset like that, I keep things to myself, but you guys know that on my channel I've got a tribute video to Toriyama and it's almost an hour long. Now, an hour long video that is a tribute to an anime and the guy that made the anime must mean that the anime means a lot to me, which must mean that other animes out there mean a lot to other people. And if I use that logic, Bleach is part of the big three, right? It's Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. Dragon Ball is not part of the big three. Dragon Ball is essentially the father of the big three. And so being one of the big three, you have a big audience. And I wanted to apologize to the Bleach audience because I don't think my discourse initially was fair to you guys. You're obviously going to be passionate about the game, you're going to be passionate about the anime, and whilst I'm not the kind of person that is going to lash out on people because they don't like my favorite anime or they're shitting on it, not everybody's like me. Some people are more vocal with their passion and some people do clap back. Now, I'm not excusing the people that said some crazy things to me just because I wanted to play a game, but overall I don't think I handled the situation the best way I could have. And my intention with coming into this game is to build bridges with people and hopefully merge communities together, because I do feel like this game deserves it. And that was one of the reasons why we had DBZ Imran, James Hansen, Afro Senju, Gloku and Sixworld all on the same stream having a conversation, because there has been a bit of conflict between different content creators and different communities, and I wanted my podcast and my channel to act as a bridge, whilst recognizing that I didn't do the best job of integrating into the Bleach community as I could have. And ultimately, I want everyone to have fun. Now, I'm very big on this game. I'm very excited for it. And I understand the Bleach fans being very excited for this game might also feel a certain type of way about seeing people coming over to their community all of a sudden when they've been getting dogged on for a long time. And they were getting dogged on for a long time. I was one of those people dogging on them. Now, mine was very childish because I've got a very close friend, one of my best friends, his name's Ricardo, he lives over in Australia now. And when he was living over here in London, his favorite anime was Bleach, mine was Dragon Ball. And he used to rip the shit out of Dragon Ball. And in return, I would rip the shit out of Bleach. And it happened for so long that I actually grew to dislike Bleach because of that. But about 2 or 3 years ago, I went back and watched Bleach and wanted to catch up in time for 1000 Year Blood War. And I basically messaged the boys and said, do you know what? This is childish. Even if you hate Dragon Ball, I actually really like Bleach. I think it's really cool. And I can admit, that was me being extremely childish, and it spilled online obviously because I continued my childish behavior. But one thing I do want to say to the Bleach fans is that I don't know why you care anymore about what people think about your anime. I understand in that 10-year void why you cared. You were getting dogged on, the anime was cancelled, the manga was gone, there was no games, to be honest with you, no real good games for Bleach. I understand that, but you guys are in the spotlight now. Bleach is the king. Dragon Ball's not here anymore. Boruto, the less we say about Boruto, the better. And One Piece is on a little bit of a break. All eyes are on Bleach. People are acknowledging Bleach. Bleach is essentially the tribal chief. It's sitting at the head of the table right now. Why do you guys care about what some trolls have to say about your anime and your game? Because we're going to get into the gameplay section of this game. This gameplay is so good that I can see myself walking away from other games that I play to exclusively play and support this game. You guys probably know that I play Tekken a lot, and there's no other 3D fighters in the space, and we've needed another 3D fighter for a very long time. And unlike other arena fighters, this looks like a legit fighting game with legit fighting game mechanics. Now, know what people are going to say. You said this about Sparking Zero, Mike, blah blah blah. We went through a bit of a drought with anime games. When the Budokai era sort of came to an end, there wasn't that many good games. We did have the JoJo's fighting game, which was really good, but unfortunately, CyberConnect can't develop an online to save their life, and the netcode was absolutely abysmal, so the game died. Outside of that, there wasn't really anything going on. Now, Sparking Zero is a good game, but unfortunately, it is heavily watered down compared to what Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is. If you want to see how advanced Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is, you can go over to Grandmaster Hawk's channel. He'll break everything down for you. He's probably the best player in the world for Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and just talking to him, I can see that the game has been watered down to what it was back then. It's still a good game, and of course it's got its own tournament circuit going on now, and I still play. You know, I've got 3 characters to Z rank. I really enjoy the game. But if you're talking about actual competitive integrity in line with other conventional fighting games, Sparking Zero obviously doesn't have that. Now, some people are looking at this Bleach game and they're saying to themselves, it looks a bit like Pokken, it looks like JJK. Now, I don't want to shit on these people, but I'm assuming the people saying that don't play fighting games, because I took one look at this game and I knew immediately this was nothing like Pokken and certainly nothing like JJK. Now, obviously, I've been playing fighting games all my life. I have like more than 25 years of experience, so I have more of a keen eye for these sort of things. I'm not saying that I'm a know-it-all, but I definitely know more than people that play arena fighters or just play regular old games. There are certain things in this Bleach game, even off the early trailers when you go and look at them, where you can see, okay, there's something deeper here. And now we know there is actually something deeper here. But if you Bleach fans want any more reason to not give these trolls any attention, I want you guys to take a look at this. That is the greatest super move in the history of fighting games, okay? There is no super move in any fighting game that is better than what you just saw. As a matter of fact, it's so good, we're gonna wheel it up. This man got a whole soundtrack with vocals for his super attack. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Bleach fans won on that argument alone. That in the 30+ years that fighting games have existed, there has never been a super move that is cooler than what we just saw Ichigo do. The conversation is over. I can end the video there. And bear in mind, I am a Dragon Ball glazer. Dragon Ball is my favorite thing ever. There's nothing that comes close to it. And I can sit here and I can tell you, having not even played this game yet, that this game has farmed every single piece of aura that is left in the anime community. You think Piccolo's an aura farmer? Nah. Ichigo just stole the show. That is the best super I've ever seen in my life. So before we move on with the video, just want to let the Bleach fans know, don't buy into the trolling. There's nothing left to troll. Disney picked up the 1000 Year Blood War streaming on their platforms now. It's highly well received. This is one of the best fighting games that I've seen in a long time. So much so that it reminds me of Budokai 3. It reminds me of Infinite World or Burst Limit. It has that level of quality. And I would go as far as to say this has gone even further beyond. I am convinced that Kubo was standing over Tamsoft's shoulders and saying to them, you better get this shit right. I am pretty sure he had them pressed up against a wall and threatening their lives if they didn't get this right, because the attention to detail here is absolutely insane. If you go through my videos, you'll see that a lot of the time when these games come out, whether it's Mortal Kombat or Tekken or Soul Calibur or Street Fighter, I will give my thoughts on them. And I'll say, I feel like they could have done this better, and I'll point it out and I'll give you a whole description. I have sat here and I've watched this gameplay. I have watched the cutscenes. I've seen the abundance of music in this game. I have picked up on system after system after system that the game has that they haven't really marketed. And I'm sitting here asking myself, what would I do better? And I actually don't know. And that to me is impressive, because people that come to this channel know that I will nitpick everything. I nitpick everything to the point that I know some people have unsubscribed because they find me petty, and that's fine, but that's just in my personality. I have sat here and watched this game for hours on end, tried to break down gameplay videos with loads of people in the community. Me and Senju in Japan sat here and watched the gameplay videos they dropped just the other day, and we went over them and we were like, I got nothing. That is how good this game is. That is how good Tamsoft is. Now, Tamsoft is no stranger to attention to detail. If you're aware of a series called Senran Kagura, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you are aware of that series, then you are a dirty gooner. But when I heard that Tamsoft were the ones that were making this game, I kind of felt a sense of relief almost, that it wasn't CyberConnect. Now, I don't want to throw CyberConnect under the bus, but I'm kind of tired of how they do their games. I appreciate what they do, and I have for a very long time, but I wanted something different. And that is what Tamsoft has given us. Now, some people are saying that this is an arena fighter. It is not an arena fighter. This is what you would call an axis fighter. Now, some people are not going to accept that term, and it's not an official term. You won't really find it anywhere. The developers, I believe, called it an axis fighter, although I'm not entirely sure where that interview is, but loads of people have corroborated that and said that they heard them say it. And when you look at Bleach Rebirth of Souls, you can clearly see that this is not Tekken, but it's also not Demon Slayer. It's not Street Fighter, but it's very clearly not Naruto either. This game is more in line with like a burst limit. You can't turn your back on your opponent. The stage doesn't really come into play other than stage transitions, and it's there to add some flavor to the game. And you don't do the same things that you do in an arena fighter. You do, however, do the exact same things that you would do in a conventional 3D fighting game. The only difference is that the camera is slightly slanted. If this camera was positioned to the side angle, then nobody would be really questioning themselves. So I refer to this as an axis fighter. The reason that I push that name as well is that arena fighters have a very bad stigma. And it's unfortunate because not all of them are like that. We recently had Globku here on the channel, and I was saying to him that I watch his Demon Slayer coverage. I learned to play Demon Slayer through watching his videos and listening to what he had to say on them. There are good arena fighters out there, and there are creators that cover them well, like Globku. But I didn't want to call this an arena fighter because historically they do have a bad reputation. But what doesn't have a bad reputation is games like Budokai or the JoJo's games. And I've heard people refer to those games as axis fighters as well. I've also seen people saying that they don't need the FGC and that they don't need Maximilian to play this game, that Bleach will be found on its own. And I've got to say to those people that you are incredibly short-sighted. Now, I understand you're going to be very protective over the Bleach IP. I get it. I've spoken to loads of Bleach people now, the creators and people in the fan base. I understand the mentality. But one thing you do need to understand is that this is a video game and this is a fighting game. And Maximilian is as big as it gets. There's nobody bigger in any space than Maximilian. His reach and his scope and his subscriber count and who he is and what he means to the FGC is extremely important. And if somebody like Maximilian picks this up and gets eyes on it, it's only going to benefit the game. See, one thing I don't understand about people is that they keep on saying you're only here for the hype. Okay, What is the problem with that? And I'm not saying they're saying that about me directly, but they're saying that about people that are jumping on it. There's nothing wrong with that. When the Virtua Fighter 6 trailer dropped, everybody was hyped for it. But we all know Virtua Fighter has a very niche following. But what Virtua Fighter needs for people is to jump on the game. So let's say that 50% of the Tekken player base gets hyped for Virtua Fighter, but only 10% end up sticking with the game. That is a positive for Virtua Fighter. You're not going to keep everyone. Some people are just there for the hype, but you will retain some, and that will help build the player base, and that will help in turn with the game. You want future DLC for this game. You want future installments. You want the Bleach IP to do well. Bleach was gone for a very long time. You don't want it to come back and suffer in any department, whether that be merchandise, video games, or the anime. So my message to the more hardcore Bleach community is welcome people like Maximilian. Welcome the FGC into this game. Show it to them. And for the love of God, stop focusing on trolls on Twitter. I put up a bunch of Bleach videos the other day and they got loads and loads of views, maybe over 200,000 views. I think 400,000 actually between all of them. And what do you think some of the comments were? They were trying to troll me. They were trying to get under my skin. You can't get under my skin with this game. It's just not going to work. First of all, I don't mind people having their opinions. If someone doesn't like this game, I couldn't care less. I'm not focusing on you. I'm focusing on the people that want this game to do well. If you put your energy into trolls, you'll feed them and you will lose, because that's what trolls feed on. People tried to troll me on the post. They tried to give me their opinions, and when I wouldn't bite, do you know what they did? They walked away. Now, unfortunately, some people would bite. Let me show you this interaction. So I put up this post with Renji versus Grimjar, and I did a little breakdown saying that Renji is basically a Dark Souls boss when he pops his Bankai. And I was talking about what it would be like for him and Komamoru to have a fight and how it's going to look on screen. Somebody called Skywalker commented underneath that and said, "So what's your thoughts? Shit looks like a PS3 game. Graphics and character models could be better than this, just like Sparkling Zero." I hate it, but when people call it Sparkling Zero, I'm always just like, anyway. So I said to him, I disagree. It looks gorgeous and the gameplay looks stellar. They captured the essence of Bleach perfectly. You know, agree to disagree. I don't mind if people don't like what they're seeing. It's up to them. Couldn't care less. I mean, I'm here for the people that do care. He replied saying, "Nope, the look worse than anime version. Meanwhile, Sparking Zero and Naruto Storm characters look better in the game." 3 exclamation marks. And I read that message and I was like, okay. Fine. So I said to him, to each their own, brother. And he replied to me saying, "Have fun. Gonna wait a discount to buy this. LMAO. I said to him, "Will do," and I put the handshakes. And he put laughing emojis. Now you know what he was trying to do there. You know he was trying to get a rise out of me. And you know that the responses usually on Twitter are for people to run to the aid of Bleach and say, "No, it looks better than Storm. It looks better than Sparking Zero." Now, personally speaking, I think this game looks better than all of them. I think the art direction is chef's kiss. I think that the art direction is absolutely fantastic in this, and I like the graphics in this game a lot. The quality on YouTube and on Twitter and on my phone where I've gotten these from is not doing it justice, obviously. But that's my personal opinion. I think it looks better than them. I think the art direction and the art style is better. But if he doesn't like it and he likes Storm more, that's fine. But he was clearly trying to get a rise out of me. But unfortunately, some of you are feeding into this when you shouldn't be. Again, do I need to play this to you? We don't need to sit through the whole thing again. You don't need to listen to any of these trolls. It doesn't matter what they say. Bleach has won, okay? It's a slam dunk. The anime is slapping right now. There was some sort of teaser the other day and the game looks absolutely fantastic and we are on the cusp of it being released. It doesn't matter if somebody says it's going to sell 1,000 or 2,000 copies. It doesn't matter if someone says they're going to go to the mall and prove that Goku is more popular than Ichigo. It doesn't matter if they say that it's going to sell 70,000 copies. Even if it did sell 70,000 copies, at the end of the day, this base game is going to be in your hands. And it is up to you to use your voices, use your Twitter pages, your YouTube channels, your Twitch streams to build the following of this game. Do it the way we did for Tekken 7, because Tekken 7 didn't get off to the best start and that game built up some serious steam through word of mouth marketing, which is the most powerful marketing on the planet. One person tells one person, that person tells another person, and suddenly a whole new plethora of people have picked up the game. That's how Tekken 7 picked up steam. So don't worry about all these people saying these things. They can't get a rise out of me. They shouldn't be able to get a rise out of you. Now somebody else commented on the post and I'll show you what the comment is, because this is the conventional response and it's something that you don't want to do. 25th Josiah said, "Mad as hell someone doesn't share your bitter sentiment hella pressed. Naruto Storm 4 doesn't look better than Rebirth of Souls. Sparking looks better, but nobody's even playing the game. It's already dead and it hasn't even been half a month. Mind you, 180 plus characters. Shitty ass game for a bunch of meatheads like you. Now, there was no need, because I like Sparking Zero as well. But you don't need to get baited into these arguments, Bleach community. You don't need to. You have won. You're the head of the table right now. No one can contest this. We have not seen a game like this ever, really. I get it. For years, you guys have been getting abuse from the anime community, from the other big two of the big three, Naruto and One Piece. I get it. There's been a lot of abuse. I get it. The Dragon Ball fans have been dunking on you guys, but it doesn't matter anymore because your anime is cooking and your game is cooking. I get it. Super Eye Patch Wolf, according to a lot of Bleach creators that I spoke to and members of the community, said that he did almost irreversible damage to the Bleach name and reputation, and they felt like they had to clean up the mess. I understand, you know, I might not agree with everything and I don't do things that way myself, but that's all behind you guys now. Now I do want to say that the music in this game is absolutely fantastic, and if any of you know me, you'll know that music is a very, very important aspect of fighting games, at least in my opinion. When fighting games don't have good music, it really does take me out of it. And it's one of the criticisms that I have for Mortal Kombat. The music's been really poor in the game. Tekken, on the other hand, or Soul Calibur, or even Street Fighter, to me has always had good music, and they have continued to do that. Street Fighter 6 has got more controversial music, but I like it. And I know some people do, but it is controversial. Tekken has always won people over with the soundtrack. Music has always been extremely important to games like these. I feel like Sparking Zero kind of dropped the ball a little bit on the music, but my god, has Bleach knocked it out of the park. So you guys have won on the music department as well. I'd go as far as to say the music I've heard in this game is better than Tekken 8. That shit is crazy. Nobody beats Tekken in the music department. Now, one of the things I absolutely love about this new Bleach game is that there seems to be a heavy amount of complexity in the game, which is why I hate the trailers so much, because the trailers don't show us anything. There are systems in this game that I've seen people using in these trailers that have not been advertised anywhere and people are not picking up on. Some people didn't even know you could grab your opponents in this game. Someone asked the other day in a Twitter space, are there grabs? And that is Bandai Namco's fault for not marketing this game properly. Now, I have a theory that this game is going to be very difficult to play at a higher level, and they want to attract the arena fighter base into this, because arena fighters typically are a little bit more simple than conventional fighting games. So maybe they don't want to show them the scope of the game to turn people off, because that is one of the things that turns people off of Tekken. The game is so big and so vast and so difficult, people are like, I'm not learning all of that, I'm out. So that might be why they marketed this so poorly, but there does seem to be a lot of nuance and complexity, and character diversity is what is really being championed in this game. I have not seen a single character play the same as another character, and that includes all three versions of Ichigo. And that is so important for a fighting game, because one of the things that lets Sparking Zero down is that once you know one character, you kind of know them all. And so the roster ends up becoming very bloated, whereas Bleach has 33 characters and 33 unique characters. So if you put that against Sparking Zero, I don't think Sparking Zero has 33 unique characters. You might be able to count 5 to 10. That is a massive W. 33 is the same as Tekken essentially. I think this has got a bigger roster than what Tekken did on launch day. And again, for a fighting game with a lot of depth that is rich with complexity, that is very impressive. That is a big roster. There's a lot to explore there. It's also very apparent to me that some characters' movesets completely change in the battle, and when I'm looking at the meters when people are fighting, I can see that some characters have different meters. I mean, we just saw gameplay of Aizen, and he seems to evolve in the gameplay. And we know there's no real combat mechanics in this game, but we do know that some characters can resurrect, so they're exclusive to certain characters, and the resurrections are different per character. So again, there's a lot to explore there. It gives me the feeling that if you don't understand how to fight a particular character and you go online, you might get cooked to life, which is music to my ears, because it sounds to me like Tekken, like, okay, you gotta learn this matchup, then you gotta learn that matchup, and there's a lot to take in. That gives the game longevity. That is more likely to get the hardcore scene on the game. I mean, don't forget, I compared this to Budokai, and a lot of people like that comparison, and Budokai is a highly respected fighting game amongst those that play them in a more hardcore space. On top of that, there seems to be a 40-hour story mode and then character specific episodes. Now, I haven't seen any of that, this is just things that I've heard here and there, but 40 hours for an anime game is really impressive. It is supposed to cover the Bleach story, which is a fantastic way to get people into Bleach. Now, one of the reasons that I believe Bleach didn't do as well as Naruto and One Piece is that Naruto and One Piece follow the conventional shonen tropes. They have very goofy main characters and they kind of mirror their personalities. Obviously there's differences, I'm not saying that there's not, but Bleach was very, very clearly different to One Piece and to Naruto. It had a much darker tone and a much more adult theme, and it was on Adult Swim, which would not help the anime. Less people are going to see it. And even with that, Bleach is still a franchise that has done stupidly well. Again, it is part of the big three, but it was gone for a very, very long time. And so there are a lot of new people of the new generation that recognize animes like Demon Slayer or JJK as one of the big ones now that don't really know. I mean, I'd go as far as to say that if there was no Bleach, there would probably be no JJK, because when I look at JJK I can see similarities straight away. So having a 40-hour in-depth story mode that goes through the anime is really important for newcomers. I know that some people that never watched JoJo's played the JoJo's game and then got into the anime. So if this game is going leaps and bounds to present Bleach in a positive light, I think that's a massive W. Now I don't know how the story mode is going to work, I haven't seen much of it, but given the quality that Tamsoft has presented us with, I'm not really too worried. As I said earlier, there's a lot of things going on the screen. There's a lot of nuances and complexities between these characters, and it's going to be so much fun to try and figure out matchups, to try and figure out how to counter bankais, to seeing if people can inject their own personalities into the characters, because that's something that we love about older fighting games, that you can really show what kind of player you are through the character. Some of the newer fighting games are a bit more streamlined and everyone's doing the same combos and the same movements. This game doesn't seem that way, but time will tell. Now, a lot of people say that I'm a doomer, that I'm always negative, but I call things how I see them. Whenever a game is coming out, I'm usually very high on them because that inner child of me comes out. I don't have a lot of time to sit around and play as many games as I want to anymore. I pick and choose, and this game has really caught my attention. So I'm going to speak about it positively. I'm not trying to blow smoke up Tamsoft's. Somebody was saying that I'm trying to get in Bandai Namco's good books. That person clearly doesn't know me because my Tekken coverage probably banned me from ever being in any of their books. But I'm going to call it like I see it. I don't care what company hates me. If they put out a good game, I will champion that game. Now, if the game comes out and it's shit, I'm going to tell you guys it's shit. I'm not here to dick ride. I don't care who it upsets. But if this game is good, 100%, I will be sitting here singing its praises no matter who likes it. And it will be based off my opinion. I don't just doom things out of the blue. I let them blossom and we see what comes from it. As of now, this game deserves the praise, but we will see on release day, which is about 2 days from now. There is so much to go over with this game, but it is just such a gorgeous looking game with so much attention to detail. Tamsoft have absolutely knocked out the park and I can't wait. I'm very happy for the Bleach community. They're getting, you know, the last part of their show. I think the 1,000 Year Blood was on its last part now. It's going to come out soon. This game is about to drop. There's a teaser that was dropped the other day on Twitter. It's a good time to be a Bleach fan. Just don't give in to the trolling because it's kind of pointless at the end of the day. You guys won. You guys literally won. Do I need to play it again? I'm going to play it again just because it's awesome. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that, does it? It doesn't get better than that, does it? You want to talk about aura farmers like Jinru or Piccolo? I'm sorry, they have been outdone. Anyways guys, let me know what you think of Bleach Rebirth of Souls in the comment section below. Let me know what your biggest concern for the game is. My biggest concern is obviously the netcode, and will there be lobbies for us to spectate and big enough to host tournaments or just other game modes in there for the community. That's my biggest concern. Let me know what your biggest concern is and let me know what you love the most about this game. As always guys, take care of yourselves, have a good day and peace.